Let me start that again with the mic on in it. Greetings, one and all. I am Natural Mystic. I am bouncing back. I hope you all are too. So, in this stream, we are going to be talking about unconscious or conscious biases. And, I'm going to play you my original intro that was made for me over a year ago. But yeah, here we go. Hi, welcome back. Thank you for those who have subscribed. Thank you to those of you who like and also share. So what we're going to be talking about, like I said, unconscious and conscious biases. So I follow a couple of people on here and I think that their opinions are very poignant. I like the way they put it across. I've got a couple of clips from a other YouTuber who's trying to get to 100k, so that's the reason why I'm sharing this. His tag is below in the description box, so if you could also like his channel, that is Tropical Juice. Cam the man. Yeah, he is very much underrated on YouTube. Like I said, we're going to show some of his content, and what he says just sums it up for me beautifully. I also am going to be sharing a clip from Kingdom Media. This is a UK media channel on YouTube, and they bring like the latest current affairs topics. And again, I just think their content and their delivery is great. So I'm going to show you a couple of snippets from either of those channels in my own video recording upload sort of thing. So yeah, let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. So that way even. This is Tropical Juice. This is my man Cam. And yeah, let's hear what he's got to say on this particular topic that we are going to be discussing.
It is what it is, man. What can I do? I'm just a small-time YouTuber. I don't have that reach, you know what I'm saying? But listen, let's get into this so I can explain what I'm on. So like the video for me, hit the bell to be notified for me, hit that subscribe button for me, and if you want to support your boys' merchandise, it's in the description below. So basically, yeah, what's happened is that White Yardie jumped on an interview. I think it was on Channel 4 or something. I'm not actually too sure. I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I've only seen the 3-minute clip. He jumped on an interview. Zeze Millz was on it, and a couple other people in it. A couple boys, a girl. I'm not too sure in it, but Zeze was like the biggest one there. Now, I like Zeze in it. I rate Zeze. And I believe she was the only one in that clip that showed any sort of logic or kind of any sort of empathy for White Yardie, because the people that she was doing the interview with, oh my days, bro, I don't give a fuck. You lot were trash. There's one don in particular. I'm going to show you the clip. There was one don in particular, yeah, that thought he was some gatekeeper for identity and gatekeeper for blackness and all this, and questioning what White Yardie's like identity and just questioning his culture. And it was really awkward and cringy and just downright uncomfortable to watch. So basically, yeah, White Yardie came on this interview, and the person who was like asking some of the questions here was just completely ignorant, and it was really embarrassing. Like, it really was embarrassing. There's a black guy in it, so bear in mind White Yardie's Jamaican and he's white, okay? And the people on the panel were black, and they were asking him questions like, yo, so when did you decide you were Jamaican? And oh, that's interesting that you identify as Jamaican.
So I'm just going to pause just for a moment, just because he's given us the intro, which I thought very eloquently put. Thank you very much, and very much succinct as well. So I watched this so-called interview, and I was a little bit taken aback. So we're going to go over to a slightly different channel once it pops up. And we're going to have a look at this particular interview, just in brief. And I've also dropped the Channel 4 link below, so you can watch the full interview, also in the description box. Just putting out a little bit of a disclaimer there, while my machine decides that it's going to spaz out on me at the moment, so I'll take him away. But yeah, so what do you think of that, right? So this is why I'm calling it conscious and unconscious biases, because we see things, or we hear things, or we're in an environment, or we have a certain experience, and I think it actually formulates some of our opinions as we get older, and those opinions can affect other people and the way we treat them and the way we judge them. So yeah, this is where I'm going with this. I didn't think that I was biased, should we say, and I've realised that I'm biased in a couple of different ways. I'm biased, not just racially, I would say, but like ethnicity, nationalities, sometimes even accents. And yeah, that's where I'm coming from with this. I've got my own personal experiences in regards to maybe being judged. Also, a stereotype. Here we go. It's decided to kick in now. So that we can skip the adverts. You know what I mean?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kingdom.
Let me just get to the point. All right, so there we go. Let me just.
Seems as though there is some comedian.
Right, so there we go. That's the intro for Kingdom Media, and I really just want to get to the bit. Right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So let's get the volume back up, and let's do the old change of the screen. So let's do that and stop sharing for a minute, and then we'll reshare a different screen so you can all see it. So you can all see it. You can all see it. There we go. It's this screen here. Sorry about that, folks. A little bit unorganized, but yeah, I just want to show you these clips. I just want to show you these clips. So here we go. This is clip number 2. This is from Kingdom Media's page, and he's just, again, snippeted the show, which is from Channel 4. So here we go. We're going to have a look at this.
When I first met you, I thought he's definitely putting it on. This is like a gimmick. This is not a... Then, obviously, as I've got to know you, I watched your documentary of you growing up in Jamaica, and this is actually you.
This is what it is. This is not a gimmick. Inca knows me.
Yeah, for about 20 years.
He actually knows me before White Yardie, the comedian.
So you were born here, then you moved to Jamaica at a very young age.
Yeah.
So you done all your
I was
childhood...
actually conceived in Jamaica as well.
Oh,
that's too much information, but thank you.
I'm just saying.
so you're...
So, sorry, folks. I'm just going to pause it there again briefly. The way he said it is that, and the way she formulated the question, so was you born here and was you born there and that sort of thing, to get that sort of clarity. So he then says he was conceived in Jamaica, which I find quite interesting. So is it where you were conceived that determines your sort of nationality? Where you were born that determines your nationality or how you identify yourself? Or is that via your ancestry, via your parents, via your lineage? Do you know what I mean? In that sense. So I think that's quite interesting. And towards the end of this, I will kind of give you, like I said, my own experience in regards to my own family a little bit as well. So let's get back into this.
You want to go more details into it?
So do you class yourself as a Jamaican?
I do class myself as part of the Jamaican culture.
Okay.
But it's one of them ones where I have never given myself any titles of anything.
Right, okay.
People have given it to me.
Well, if you had to give yourself a title now,
I would class it as a Jamaican because of my experience, and not only that, I have spent majority of my life in Jamaica, and also my whole life is lived as a Jamaican lifestyle.
Right.
3 months all the way up until I was 18. That's like the foundations of my life. You understand, so?
Well, now that we've established that Harry doesn't take his accent off and hang it up like a hat at night.
Yeah, it's not close.
So do you believe that you are part of Black culture?
I believe I'm a part of the Jamaican culture.
Okay.
And I'm glad, I'm just going to bounce. Yes, I'm glad that he made that clarification in regards to Black culture, Jamaican culture. I understand Jamaican culture. I get it. I can identify with that. But when this word Black keeps arising, I get slightly confused, I'll be honest, because Black is a word that was created for a checkbox exercise. It was to monitor and to gain statistics and to get data in regards to employment, who was applying for jobs, who was applying for local surgeries, who was getting NHS treatment in the UK, for example. There was a reason why we were split into categories. It was, number one, to divide us to a certain extent, and number two, like I said, it was more to do with statistics and data capturing, monitoring, where people were living, etc., where funds were coming in. Like, there's so many things in regards to why we were identified as black. And then beyond that, when I was younger, there was only a few categories, I'll be honest with you. There was black African, and there was also black Caribbean. I found that quite intrusive, personally, and later on, as I got older, I noticed that on application forms or forms in general, the options for blackness and other categories increased. So there was you black mixed? And when they say mixed, was you mixed with white British and African, or white British and Caribbean, or white and other, in regards to being black mixed? And then they also had the option of being black British, because like I said, I found that I could identify and I could relate to the Jamaican culture. However, I don't consider myself to Jamaican, because both my parents are not from Jamaican. Basically, one's from one island, one's from somewhere else. So I still think of myself as having, and me, this is how I've had to formulate it for myself. I think of myself of having a triplicate heritage, or a triplicate kind of nationality to a certain extent, because I can identify with Jamaica, where one of my parents is from. I can identify with the UK, where I was born, and I can identify with the other island where my other parent was born. So I totally get him saying he's a part of Jamaican culture rather than saying black culture, because I still don't even understand what the word black is in regards to a culture. Is there a black culture? No. I would say that there's different cultures within the black community, if you want to use the word black, but there's African culture and traditions, there's Caribbean culture and traditions, there's South American culture and traditions, there's, so that's why I said we're a very diverse sector of people, even just within Africa itself, or even within the Caribbean itself. We are very diverse. We have a lot of common goals and similarities and ideas, and even ways of living or ways of doing things. Yes, there are lots of similarities, but there are also differences, and there are reasons for that. They speak different languages, different forms of patois, different forms of Creole. I could go so deep into all of this, but this interview triggered me. So we're going to see if we get to that point where the question was asked by this particular young man. Here we go.
What's the difference to you?
The difference to me is that what is the black culture, you cannot just define black culture as black culture, because it varies. I relate with the Jamaican culture because it's a culture that I grew up in. We have black British culture, so that's a different thing. But to me, black British culture is a merge of like Jamaican, Caribbean, and Africa and England together. That makes the black British culture. That's what I would say. But I cannot define in one sentence to say this is black culture, because it's.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
When did you decide that you were Jamaican? Was it when you came back over here? Was it when someone asked you? Like, was there an experience where you just felt, I identify as a Jamaican man?
Let me explain to you.
Before White Yardie even answers that question, I'm gonna just put my 2 pence worth in, because again, there's a lot of bandwagon jumping. There's a lot of I identify as, and there are some places in the world right about now where that kind of vocabulary and language is accepted. However, when it comes to what's on the outside, what people see, i.e. the hue of your skin, the color of your skin, the race that you affiliate yourself with, what people will judge you unbiasedly or unconsciously or subconsciously or consciously. Do you see what I'm saying? I can't just one day decide to wake up and not be the shade or the brown, the black, whatever it is, the melalatedness that I am. I can become darker if I was to bleach, but that's a different conversation. I could become lighter. But that still doesn't take away the core of where my ancestors, my legacy, my history, my family, my relatives are from. They're still going to be from the islands. They're still originally going to be from Africa. If you was to go way back in that respect. And what I find quite interesting is that living in the UK, in England, being born in the country of England, I am not English. I speak English, but I am still not English. because my parents are from a Commonwealth island or Commonwealth owned place, then they came here as immigrants, migrants, eventually became citizens, and I was born here. My nationality is what you would call British, because back in the day, this place, the UK, United Kingdom, was also known as Great Britain. After the wars, after they colonized, after they, you know, implemented their infrastructure in certain places, after the islands, you know, bowed down to the Queen and they did what she said, and certain governmental laws in the UK were applicable over there and that sort of thing. And there were some benefits to it. However, there were lots of disadvantages also in regards to the Commonwealth. But it's left people like me who were first generation born to parents of immigrants in the UK. So my parents were invited and my grandparents were invited, let's just put it that way. We didn't just come here because we thought the land was made of milk and honey and the streets were paved with gold. Definitely not. That was not the experience my parents described to me when they came to the UK. However, I don't know any different because, like I said, this is where I was born. But my generation, you know, people who were born sort of, you know, 60s, 70s, depending on how old your parents are, that were born in the UK and then beyond, we're first generation Black British. That's why the category was there, because I couldn't identify with being a Black Caribbean. I couldn't even identify with being Black, because I still think of Black as in what my headscarf is the shade of or the colour of. So growing up, it was just very difficult because I wasn't English. I was always reminded of that. Oh, you haven't got 3 generations that were born here, so you're definitely not English. So not a problem. I'm good with that, you know. So like I said, I was then known as British, which I find very strange. And even there's an England flag, which is white with the red cross, which is like the St. George flag, as well as the Union Jack, which is all of the United Kingdoms or the countries of Great Britain all unified in one flag. That's the Union Jack. And that's what you typically see, the red, white and blue. But England itself uses the St. George cross as its kind of as its country flag. But you'd never see me waving one. Do you know what I mean? You never see one like flapping on my car or in my house. And the feeling that I get when I see that flag is a bit unsettling. It's just really weird. It's supposed to be representative of where a place it is that I was born, but yet I find it intimidating because I know what the country and the countries around me have done to the Commonwealth, to the countries around the world. So let's go back to this interview and see how Mr. Yardie copes with this question.
I don't know if I've ever said this on an interview anywhere yet, but my mother, before me, she had a miscarriage. So when she was pregnant with me, she could have gave birth to me in Jamaica.
Right.
But where we live, the hospitals weren't great. So obviously she has that opportunity to leave. Once she had me and did the checks, 3 months on a plane back to Jamaica. So from...
Okay, so the reason why I paused it there again, because I can identify, not me personally, but I have a family member who can identify with this, okay? They were born in the UK. My grandfather and his wife, you know, he retired and he wanted to go back home, i.e. back to Jamaica. And my uncle was born in the UK. However, he went to Jamaica at a very young age. He had what you'd call a British passport, and that's what he flew back to Jamaica on. However, he came back to the UK in his 20s. So although he was born here, his schooling, his upbringing, his accent was like White Yardie. And even the way my uncle looks, he's not even as dark or as brown as me. He's fairer skinned. He has different textured hair because he's got more of the Indian side of it. See, like see what I'm saying? Not even the confusion of my family, but the mix, because my granddad is mixed. He's part German and part, you know, and yeah, it's very interesting the way my family has kind of come together and how I piece all the pieces to make up this, yeah, united colours of Benetton that I call relatives, the beautiful hues that I see when we have family reunions, you know, from you would say like the darkest, chocolatey, the most menelated people at one end of the scale, till all the way to the other end of the scale, to the mousy blonde hairs and the greeny blue eyes and the grey eyes. And it's just so interesting to actually see it. So we would all consider ourselves somewhat part Jamaican or descendants of Jamaicans, because that's the family, that's the tree, that's how we got here, that's how they came. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really, I struggled, I felt it for him to have to defend himself in that way because of the shade of his skin. Like, I'm going to just be upfront here, yeah? There's the Asian Sikh guy who wears the turban, he's a comedian, and the first time that I heard him open his mouth, I was like, oh, he's Scottish. And that was my ignorance. That was my conscious and unconscious bias. Not thinking that there were different nationalities of people that live in Scotland. Of course, they're going to sound like they're Scottish. And then there was, for example, another example I'd give you. There was a female singer from Ireland. Her name was Samantha Mumba. Like I said, she was from Ireland. So when she opened her mouth and actually sounded Irish, my ignorance was like, well, what was you expecting? Of course she's going to sound Irish. That's where she grew up. I grew up in northwest London. Even after not living in London for many years, people can still detect the twang of where it is I originally grew up. I always say northwest London born and bred, but I've lived outside of London now longer than what I lived in London. So do I still consider myself even to be a Londoner, even though I've been out of London 25 years and I only lived in London like since birth for 20 years. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that, like as simple as that. That's how small and minute. Those are the nuances that I can break it down to, how I can relate to what's happening here.
There until what I know has been that. So it's not like I wake up one day and say, oh, 5-year-old, I want to be Jamaican. Oh, 10-year-old, I think I'm Jamaican. 12-year-old, cool. I'm definitely Jamaican. Yeah. It's just what's inside. You understand what I mean, brother?
To call yourself a Jamaican, that's interesting, because you said that you weren't born there. But I guess if the community to which you kind of were raised in, which is Jamaica, obviously, if they've embraced you, the large swaths of them and stuff, and if you've got citizenship, I don't know if you have, but yeah, from where I come.
Harry, do you have a Jamaican passport?
Yes, I do.
So this is
that boy. Sorry, that boy. I don't know his name. That young man, gentleman, young person. I'm not going to be derogatory or rude. Questioning. So, do you have a Jamaican passport? Well, 3 months. He went there at 3 months on his mum's passport when he flew there, when he was born in the UK. And then he had to apply for a passport as an adult because he was in Jamaica. He would apply for a passport in the country he was in, obviously. Like, where is the intelligence in young people sometimes? Like, did he even think about the questions he was going to formulate before he got there? Or did he just think, oh, I'm going to sit back and try and be all cool because I've got a little bit of a following on YouTube like that? Like, what? Because you're on Channel 4 now, you think you're Mr. Hatijani. I'm so disappointed in his attitude. And as for the young lady, sorry, I'm going to point the right direction, that way. As for this young lady sitting next to him, she has a really unique opinion, and some of the language and the vocabulary that she used, I found quite disturbing. But again, that's just me. So let's just carry on with this conversation. But I think to ask somebody, if you have a passport, to identify who you are as a nationality, as a person. I was born in this country. I never had a passport until I was 19. Did that make me any less British? Or did it change where I was born? No, I'm like, dude, you're just such a...
I find it interesting as well, because how do you decide? White Yardie, I'm from Jamaica. My grandparents are from Jamaica. Yeah. My dad's born there. My mum was born here. You probably would know more about Jamaica than me, just because I'm black now. No one, if I said I'm Jamaican, no one's going to question.
And so when she said that, when Zeze, because I'm black now. Excuse me? Sorry, sweetheart, but most of the time I like you and your interviews, but that one sentence has made me question certain things, like what's happening inside here, because I'm black now. Like, when was you not black? Just saying.
To me, it is, you're just Jamaican,
exactly.
but you probably know how to cook yard food. You know how to do all
That's
of that
my life.
better than me. So then, who are we to tell him? Actually, no, you're not Jamaican, just because he is his right.
Is I went to school in Jamaica, so when people are when people here are talking about, oh, you cannot represent the culture, you're not from Jamaica, you're not this, like that, you know nothing about the black culture, and I'm like, you were born here, you were raised here, you went to school here. That means if you went to school for like, how long do you go to school when you're here? Like what?
Too long.
Like, how many years? Just say like 12 years or
Well,
something.
yeah, about that. Yeah.
So 14 years. Realistically, they only taught you, what, 14 months of black history. My whole schooling was black history. So I learned.
And you know what? I love the fact that he brought that up. Yeah, because we've got Black History Month, we feel like, you know, we're learning stuff. And like he said, it's only been happening for 14 years. So once a month, you know, 1 month out of 12 for 14 years, that's 14 months of what they call Black history. However, in the rest of the world where Black people are the majority, they just learn history. They learn about the island or the country that they're from. They learn about the people, and then they would learn about European history, British history, American history. They'd probably learn about apartheid, segregation, and, you know, elements of slavery. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's broken down again, these nuances, breaking down these categories. We probably learn about Egypt. They'd learn their curriculum, because they are a Commonwealth country, is designed from the old school British curriculum. There are elements of it that they actually have to teach the people over there, because it's more beneficial to them to know things about the lay of the land and the way who the people were, the great people, the inventors. You know, like, as we know, Jamaica produces some great reggae artists, musical artists, you know, performers, actors, actresses, amazing. Why would you not want to celebrate that? Why would you not? That's their history. We capture that stuff in the UK and call it British history. So when we're learning history or his story, whose story are we actually really learning? And beyond that, some parents take the opportunity to teach their child at home about their culture, where they come from, what their country's like. Take them back home, as they say, on holiday, to experience that culture, to smell it, to taste the food, to, you know, to feel part of where it is their parents are from, to make us as a person and me as a person, to help me feel more grounded in this quagmire of the UK, of not being able to identify as English, being criticised and judged by Black people also, if you do identify as English, being criticised and judged because you speak so well, so eloquently, you use big words, vocabulary. Well, I was born here. Do you want me to speak like that? Apples and pears and Chinas and all that lot, you know, give us a salmon, mate, snap, trap. Like, I wasn't born in South London. I wasn't born in East London. Do you see what I'm saying? So even accents in this country can determine how you think about somebody. Yeah, when I met a guy that I used to work with, and he says, "Up, Chuck, I'm from Black Country." I was like, "Oh, what the hell is that? What is Black Country? Where is?" It's in England. It's a part of the north. Why is it called Black Country? I haven't actually established why. I haven't researched it, but I can only imagine it's like the coal mining areas where there was a lot of dust from the coal, there was a lot of smoke from the coal, and I suppose everybody kind of looked a bit, and it was quite dark, I suppose, as well, to a certain extent, you know, and there was a lot of things happening up there, a lot of you know, like, yeah, there was just a lot of stuff happening up north where it was quite dark and mysterious, I suppose, as well. So there were different reasons why I suppose it was called the Black Country, but it was called that, I suppose, before Black people. So I'm gonna research that. And now that I've thought of that, I'm gonna do some research there. But let's just capture a little bit more of this, and then we're gonna skedaddle.
Everything about the culture. So when I'm in school, we don't have a month to say this is White History Month, because we have to accept that White Yardie. I don't care about that. I'm there to learn, and I'm not even there to learn. I'm just going with what I know is life.
Would you say that someone like White Yardie is culture appropriating?
No, not at all. I think that, you know, not least because he actually has some connection to many of these parts of the world, but he clearly doesn't have intentions to denigrate, to humiliate, or to make a particular culture inferior in the eyes of the majority of society. He's clearly doing it from a sense of appreciation and a sense of sharing love. And I think that that is something.
Right, because we're going to have to leave that there, because what she said absolutely blew my mind. He's not denigrating. He's not doing this. Can you see intention? And didn't he just explain to you that that's the environment he grew up in? So if he was going to be appropriating, he would then pretend, I suppose, to be English, as in putting on an accent or pretending to be Cockney or pretending to be up north. And then if he was saying derogatory things about those said people that he was trying to imitate, then yeah, there would be a problem. But yet her conversation confused me. And I had to kind of take 5 from the interview itself, because I just felt it was too much. I don't think that those panelists have done enough interviews to kind of capture the right type of information that we may want as an audience. And I'm just going to go back now to Tropical Juice, to Cam, and just kind of pick up on where he is for a few minutes, and then we will just kind of, yeah, leave it there, basically. And let me just capture the right spot.
What are you talking about? Man's literally lived in Jamaica since he was born, bro. Literally, like,
Yeah.
As he...
Here we go. There's always adverts in there just when you don't need them. But yeah, so we're going to capture, like I said, what Tropical Juice has to say. His link is in the description box below. I hope he doesn't mind me using a little bit of his footage, but I really do value his opinion. Sorry, folks. Seem to be having a bit of a technical hitch. There we go. There he is. There he is, finally. Let's just get him off of... Let's go back a bit. Make sure we're sharing the volume now.
And I love the way he articulated himself. He was like, when I was 5 or whatever, I didn't just think, oh, I want to be Jamaican. And when you're 12, you're, oh, I think I might be Jamaican. And that's not how it works, bro. Like, what is this? Honestly, I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was genuinely embarrassing. Honestly, White Yardie, yeah, real yard man. You done your thing there. Still, I can't. You handled yourself very well there. Composure, maturity. Because I would have clapped at them seriously, as in like verbally. Verbally would have just put them in their place for real, because it's poor. Really, really is poor. And you could just tell with his demeanor, it was kind of like, oh, that's quite interesting. So, oh, you identify as Jamaican. Oh, so because they embrace you, that's quite... What are you talking about? What are you genuinely talking about? It's like you're the gatekeeper for blackness and gatekeeper for culture. No, he is Jamaican, right? Flat out. In fact, he's more Jamaican than all the Jamaicans here, all the British-born Jamaicans here. Who, do you know what I'm saying? And this is where this is why I got to rate Zeze, yeah, because as I was watching this clip, I was getting worried that Zeze was going to start agreeing with my man and start kind of questioning White Yardie's culture. But let me play this clip here, because I've got to give credit where credit's due, and Zeze came in with some knowledge here.
So we saw that part, just where she was talking about, you know, him being able to cook and rear and this, that, and the other, and that sort of thing. So yeah, like I said, I've got my own experiences with this, and I think that in my next recording, I'm going to be speaking about locks and that sort of thing, and unconscious biases and conscious biases, and the way we get treated in the workplace. On the back of this, I've got another experience that really has, like I said, it's not triggered me, but it just made me really irked that this is the conversation that we're still having, and there's so many things that are so many more important things in the world that we need to be dealing with right now. It really is. We really should not be looking at this stuff anymore and having these conversations in regards to what people identify as, or how it is that we view them or see them, or what our expectation of a certain person should be because of the way they look. So yeah, that's where I'm at with all of this. I want to say thank you so much to all of you who jumped in, subscribed, liked, commented, etc., etc. You can also catch me on a few other channels and apps and that sort of thing as well, all under the same name. I am Natural Mystic, which you can see down there. See, why can't I get that right? Over there. No. Anywho, I'm going to play you my favorite bit, which is the outro. Much love, take care, peace, guidance, blessings, and prosperity in abundance as always.
You're entering a natural mystic zone. No penny them I never walk alone. Ancestors better them a natural mystic zone. Blessed enough to know I never walk alone.